Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sword Saviors. It is Thursday, October 17th, about 9:45 as we're starting this recording. Lee, how you been? How you doing?
I've been all right. I'm doing all right. How about yourself, bud?
Pretty good. Does your team know who their quarterback is? At the time of the recording, nothing is official.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time this comes out, probably tomorrow morning at Friday morning, we'll know, but I have not
Yeah.
seen anything yet. But we do have, to start the show, some talk from Tomlin. Tomlin had his press conference on Tuesday, and first we're going to go into everything regarding the QB situation, and then maybe we'll bounce off some other highlights from his talk this week. But let's get right into it. I'm going to start him off with his opening statement regarding the quarterback situation here.
Yeah.
At the quarterback position, like I said last week, we were scheduled for Russ to work in totality. He did that. Over the course of the week, I got comfortable with his ability to display his health. Now it's about, knocking the rust off. He did some of that last week. He is in consideration this week. We'll see where that leads us, man. Both guys at the quarterback position are scheduled to work tomorrow, and we'll just walk it day by day, all geared toward putting ourselves in best position to win the football games.
So that's before any questions. That's his opening statement. Any thoughts on what you heard there from Tomlin?
No, I mean he explained, like he said, earlier in the week, and about waiting to kind of see what was gonna go on with Russ, and that he was gonna get some full practice coming into this week to kind of see how he was gonna go, and so he's just giving his regular Mike Tomlin mantra with just talking about what's going on. So nothing really, just seemed like a normal, just regular, they were getting him prepared to kind of see what they can have him be for this week coming up.
Yeah, so he's keeping his cards close to the vest. I guess that's the main thing that Tomlin's going to do in situations like this. But let's see if these reporters are able to get any new info out of him at all here. I'm going to throw some questions up, and if there's anything you want to stop on, let me know, and I'll pause it for us here.
Let's talk.
How do you knock the rust off with Russell, short of getting him into a game, and at what point does that decision come?
You knock it off to a degree, just getting an in-helmet perspective on the work. There's one thing to sit in meetings and digest football and be a full participant like he's been, or to be a guy behind the offensive group digesting it from that perspective. But the in-helmet perspective and the reactionary see to do and some of those things, that's what I'm talking about. But there's also a totality of his resume as well that makes you more comfortable than guys with shorter resumes in that regard, in terms of his ability to play ball on a limited amount of exposure. I have that mentality about guys across positions, and we've had that discussion before. Veteran players, there's just comfort that comes with experience in some of those, really sometimes uncomfortable discussions.
You buying all that from him? I don't know. I get it. But this is we're 6 games into the season. Russell Wilson hasn't played a game in a long while at this point. Coming off an injury, he's an old guy.
Yeah.
But Tom doesn't seem to be worried about that really from that answer. I think he just thinks the idea that this guy's a vet, he knows what he's doing. He's going to come in here and be ready to go even with the time off.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems like. He, what his mindset is. I mean, I get, all the accolades and the resume that Russell Wilson has, but like you just said, he's an older guy, he's been in the league for a while. He's coming off of an injury that he sustained during preseason and even before that as well. And just to think that he's going to come in and just start slinging it and being the guy that he was before, I'm not buying it. I mean, I think it's going to be, probably trying to shake some nerves and shake some rust off of, of his game, because he hasn't played for a while. It's been a little bit since we've seen Russell Wilson starting for a game, for a team in a while, so I don't think that it's just going to happen that he's just going to be, ready to go immediately. But, that's Mike Tomlin just thinking that, he's just going to be ready to go. I don't buy it, but like you said, I don't buy it, but I don't know. Maybe he's seeing something different in practice that we haven't seen yet.
Outside of what I've got clipped, he was asked if Russell's 100% healthy, and he gave an equivocal or unequivocal. Yeah, don't quote me on whether or not it's unequivocal or equivocal, because I am a dumbass. But anyway, let's move on to Tomlin.
You say that
We're going to determine that as we get closer to tomorrow. We got some more strategic meetings today, but I'll acknowledge that Russ proved his health last week, man, and we're looking hard at it this week. It is up for consideration.
Mike, what hasn't Justin done, or what does he need to do better? So you guys are 4-2 to not just make him the starter.
Justin has been really good, and we've been really good at times, but not to be confused with great. Man, this is a competitive league, man. We're trying to position ourselves to be that team. And we got a player with talent who hadn't had an opportunity to play, so we're going to potentially explore those things. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what Justin has done or has not done. Justin has been an asset to us, man. Last week, for example, man, his ability to utilize his legs by design and by ad lib was a significant component of that game. He rushed for 50-plus yards and 2 touchdowns in game. And so we're appreciative of that. We're appreciative of how he's taking care of the ball. But we're just looking at all the people at our disposal the same way that we do at any position. We acquired.
That was one of my favorite responses from his whole press conference. It seemed like a thoughtful question and answer from him. I think he hit a lot of points that make sense. Like the idea of Steelers have been looking good, but that offense still hasn't hit that great level. So why not, if you think in your heart of hearts, if he goes with Russell Wilson, you got to think it's because he thinks that he's going to make this offense better. And if that's the case and he can make the team great, then I'm not against the move. I know we've been talking about it just last Sunday. We were saying that we were looking at Russell Wilson getting over two more starts this season. Obviously now, although you'll see through this, Tomlin doesn't give the nod to Wilson. The national media seems to be on the page that Wilson will be starting this week. And it seems like everyone is just on that idea now. So hearing his answer there, I think this is the main reason why, what he just spewed out of there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Justin Fields has done what he's needed to do for 6 games. And, if he is the starter on Sunday, good for him. If Russ is not ready to go, I think Justin Fields is a decent quarterback and a decent backup right now to kind of help us through. And if Mike Tomlin believes that, like you said, believes that Russell is the guy, then, maybe, again, he's seeing something that we're not seeing in their full practice and things like that. What they think about, what their strategy in their meetings and things like that. If they feel as though Russell's the guy to go, then I guess maybe he's going to be the guy to go. It's just all going to depend on how things, happen with him when he gets out there and starts starting for us and starts playing. That's, is the injury going to come back? Is his age going to, do anything, but I don't know. Mike Tomlin just seems to be, on the Russell Wilson train. It seems like he's been that way since the offseason when they brought him in, so I think that maybe, he just sees something differently that we don't.
Yeah, and you're right about it. It seems like he's been with Russell this whole way there too. Just for the official record, unequivocally, according to the Oxford Dictionary, in a way that leaves no doubt. So unequivocal, yes, is what I was looking for earlier for the record.
Yeah.
scenario where you utilize both quarterbacks on Sunday night?
Certainly, there's a scenario. There could have been a scenario where that could have occurred last week.
So yeah, a lot of people are talking about if you lose Fields, you're going to lose a lot of those rushing TDs. But there's nothing stopping them from bringing Fields in the red zone or in the goal line situations like they have been using them effectively so far this year, I think.
Yeah, no, of course not. I mean, he obviously, as we've seen over the past 6 weeks, we've seen him be able to use his legs and utilize that to score touchdowns and get yards and things like that. And, there's probably scenarios where they can have him in trick plays and things like that as well, running different type of offensive plays and stuff. So, I can definitely see a scenario where they definitely use both of them, in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Fair to say then that this is more a competition this week in practice of Russ against his own state of readiness, or is this a competition between Justin and Russ?
I probably hadn't thought about it in that way as you stated it, but really we're just going to roll the ball out and let both guys work and make decisions from there.
Mike, when do you plan to make a decision on that?
I don't know, closer to game time.
Justin, is it a little?
See, I'm curious when that's going to come out. It's Thursday night. A game's Sunday night. Although it seems like everyone behind the scenes seems to be pointing towards Russell Wilson. He has not come out yet, and now, but someone who has talked to the media is Justin Fields. We're going to play his clip here. He's asked about the whole situation, and he gives a pretty honest answer here that you got to respect.
Frustrating if you don't start, considering how you've played the first 6 games.
I mean, I don't think I've played, good enough. If I'm being real with you. If I'm being real with myself, I think if I did play well enough, I don't think there would be any sort of who should be playing, who should not. So at the end of the day, we got a few wins. Of course, I'm glad about that, but there's areas that I could be better at, and I'm just gonna continue to work on those and continue to get better.
Mike.
What were your thoughts with that? I thought that was pretty honest by him.
Yeah, I thought it was honest. I thought it was humble. I mean, he just seems like, a very just laid back, nonchalant guy to where, he definitely believes if he played better, there probably wouldn't be a discussion right now. And I think that, the fact that a lot of players aren't like this, I mean, it just kind of just goes to show that he doesn't have a big ego and things like that, that he's willing to be a team player and, willing to step aside if need be because he feels as though he hasn't been playing well. I mean, I think he's done well for the 6 games that he's played, I mean, I don't think he hasn't made too many mistakes. I mean, there have been some, issues with, the snapping with him in the center and, things like that. But I don't think it's been too crazy. But I mean, it's very, like you said, very honest of him to actually, stand up to the media like that and actually make a comment like that and say that he really hasn't played well to the point where there shouldn't be a discussion right now.
Yeah, I thought it was something to say. There is part of me though that do you want your quarterback to be that humble, or do you want your quarterback to be fuck it, I've won this job, I'm the guy. But it is good to be honest with yourself too, and the fact he probably sees that these passing numbers aren't the greatest. He's been able to get the wins 4-2, but there has been struggles to move the ball, to finish drives with touchdowns some of the time. But I mean, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception so far in the season. Those are good enough numbers that both of us thought Sunday night that he was going to keep this job, and we were wrong based on everything we've been told. I got Tomlin for a couple more questions. I think these are some pretty interesting questions coming up too.
Excuse me if you did say this, but I just want to be clear. Will Russ get first team reps in practice?
I'm sure at some point, but I hadn't decided, who gets the ball first. That sort of minutia has been undecided.
What makes this different than you were 4-2 last year, and you had Kenny's numbers were not great. You stuck with Kenny. You said we're only judged by wins. Judging by that, Justin's record is the same. Why experiment with Russ?
Look at Russ. The people are different. It's a different journey. I'm very cautious about drawing parallels between one year and another. The myriad of variables in our decision making in this game are such that it's a fruitless endeavor. It's never as simple as it seems, respectfully.
How have you seen those guys respond to the situation?
Let's hit that one first. What do you think of that one there? I thought that was pretty cool. And
I think that was a great question to ask. I think he kind of walked around it a little bit.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for him to say it was the people, I just feel like he didn't feel as though that the quarterback room he had was that great, that he felt as though Kenny was probably the only guy that could do something at that time.
Yeah, but I think that's an honest way. That's a nice way of saying something honestly that's different because it was Kenny or Mason or Mitch, right? Yeah. And in this situation, it's Justin Fields or a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson. So I don't have a problem with him saying it the way he said it too was just to not be disrespectful to the guys he had last year. I think.
Yeah.
So I was fine with him walking around it, if you want to call it walking around. But
Yeah.
I guess you're not feeling the same way.
I mean, I just kind of feel like I think he just kind of feels as though that the quarterback room's a lot better this year than it was last year, and that's why he walked around the question the way he did. That's just my opinion on the answer. So.
Yeah, it was politically correct, but I think it was necessary not to shit on his guys, old guys.
Respectfully.
How have you seen those guys respond to the situation personally?
I love the spirit in which they come to work throughout this entire process. Both guys, highly professional, highly competitive, supportive, top quality people.
Yeah, I think that's something to remember here. Both these guys, Fields through the first 6 games has shown he can win. Russell Wilson has a resume to him that he's shown that he's can win in the past. So it's you never want to have, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none, is the old saying. So you never want to have a quarterback competition, especially one that comes about in the middle of the season when you're 4-2. But I think both these guys are starter quality, maybe not top echelon, maybe not top 15 guys in the league, but they're definitely top 30 guys, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you said, you're right. I think they are top 30 right now, and I think, we have like the best quarterback room we can have right now at the moment. And I think that, Justin Fields, like you said, with the resume that he's done so far for this season, I mean, 10 touchdowns and 1 pick. I mean, he definitely is playing like a starting quarterback and playing like he wants to win and things like that. And, doing the best he can out there with what he has. And, I obviously, I've said this, a couple times now, but obviously Mike Tomlin right now, it just kind of, I guess he's seeing something in practice that, is giving him the impression that Russell Wilson is going to come out and be the guy, for this, for the remainder of the season, or however things are going to go for this games, for the, future games as it goes on. So it'll just be interesting to see, just how, things play out. Like you said, it is Thursday night. We haven't heard anything yet. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be like a game time decision at this point. I think that it's either going to be late Saturday or early Sunday is we're going to hear.
I think it'll be a game time announcement more than a decision. Just a
that's
there's
it.
a little bit of. I think the
yeah.
decision's been made, but we're gonna have to wait to hear what the actual decision is. I think.
Yeah.
So that's the whole press conference. Tomlin talking about the quarterbacks and everything. Let's speed run through some of what else he had to say there. He's going to start off by talking about last week, and then hit on this next week coming up too.
As always, I'll start this press conference with a quick review of our last performance and some things pertaining to it. As I mentioned after the game, man, what do you say about that support that we had in Vegas? Steeler Nation is special. We don't take it for granted, man. We really appreciate it. In regards to play and how we played and the significant components of the game, I thought the turnover game was really significant, and obviously centerpiece of that was T.J. Watt and his exploits, his talents, his awareness, his willingness to put those things on display, and particularly his ability to deliver timely plays in the weightiest of moments. Those 2 punch-outs that he had was really significant in terms of the turnover game. D-Jack has also continued to take the ball away and prove to be a awesome new asset to us. Can't say enough about the contributions of him and D. Elliott as new Steelers and guys that are obviously playing significant roles and doing a really good job of fitting in and being productive. And I thought on the offensive side, man, our run game really controlled it. And it's an 11-man job when you're doing it effectively. And I think the number of 10-plus yard runs kind of display that. 10-plus yard runs are more than just a lineman controlling the line of scrimmage or a ball carrier putting the ball in the correct place and whatnot. It's it's all of that and then some. It's perimeter people, offensive linemen getting on the second level. All of those things were on display in terms of our efforts in game, and hopefully we can build upon that. We've suffered a lot of instability, particularly in the offensive line. I think we've had 6 lineups through 6 games, and sometimes that affects our ability to maybe start fluidly, that connectedness, that cohesion that comes with continued collective reps. But the group, I can't say enough about their efforts from a large perspective and their ability to continue to deliver in spite of some of those challenges. We play in particular.
So yeah, I thought that was a good summary of everything that was going on this week. Any thoughts, Lee? You heard from Tomlin there.
Yeah.
I think that was a good summary of the Raiders game. We talked about it for 40 minutes or so on Sunday, but anything you want to take away from what he had to say there? I thought it was a pretty good
I think
summary.
The things that he discussed with the defensive play by TJ Watt, just getting the turnovers were just great because that's something that is known for the Steelers, getting turnovers, during games and things like that. I mean, TJ just phenomenal with those punch outs.
Mm-hmm.
And the running game was just where it needed to be because that's something we haven't seen for that first 5 weeks, and then this last week, the running game was great. Najee, had a breakout game and had a lot of big runs and things like that. And like you said, it is 11-man, game and things like that when it comes to the offense and the defense as well. And I think they just played the way they needed to play. And it was, it was great to see because we haven't seen a game like that for a while from the Steelers, especially scoring 30 points early in a season like that, so, hopefully they can, continue on a trajectory like that with, keeping up with the running game and things like that and being able to get turnovers on defense. But I thought everything he said was perfect because that's just how the game was. It was a perfect Steeler game of what it needed to be.
Yep. And now we got the Jets. So he's going to go into the Jets here. Let's see what he has to say about the Jet game here.
Let's talk about the Jets a little bit. Obviously, things are changing by the minute. I was getting ready for Devontae last week. I'm getting ready for Devontae this week. But that's life in the National Football League. I'd imagine his acquisition is going to create some news not only today, but just as it pertains to this game. And I'm respectful of his talents, but I don't imagine that his acquisition changes our approach to this game a whole lot, to be quite honest with you. We're playing an Aaron Rodgers-led group on offense, and that means certain things. When you got a quarterback who's had the resume that he has and has had the type of success that he's had, it's a challenge, regardless of who the eligibles are. You better carry enough defense. You better have enough types of defense. You better pressure them. You better play man. You better play zone. You better bogus pressure them. You better tie it all together with good pre-snap looks. You better make them read things out post-snap. That's what you do when you play a guy of his caliber. We've been in stadiums with guys like him. We've been in stadiums with him. That's the spirit in which we prepare ourselves. It's no different than you're playing guys, like Matt Stafford or some guys within our division, Lamar and Joe Burrows. We're going to need a lot of defense, and we're going to have to perform it relatively well. Too much water underneath that bridge, familiarity, not only with what he's doing, but with what's going on around him. That allows him to make some of the no-look throws and things that we all have appreciated over the years. And so, from a competitor's perspective, man, we're just really excited about pitting our collective skills versus theirs, and including a guy like Aaron Rodgers in that discussion is really awesome. And then they got a top-quality running back in Hall, man, who is really good in all areas, man. He's good on the inside run. He's good on the perimeter run. He's good in the passing game out of the backfield. He's also good in the passing game removed as a wide receiver and running a variety of routes, man. Aaron has a lot of flexible tools at his disposal. The acquisition of Mike Williams, Lazard, Wilson is a talented young player who's got awesome run after and separation ability at break points, just a well-rounded game, getting familiar with his talent level. They got a new young runner from Wisconsin to supplement and play alongside Hall. They're going to provide some challenges as well to change. On the defensive side of the ball, this is a group, man, that hangs their hat there and has for a number of years. Got a lot of respect for their schematics and their players. Brick does a heck of a job as an aggressive schematic play caller. He's still absorbing those duties along with his interim head coaching duties based on what he said last week. And when you watched the tape last night, it looked like that. They're an aggressive group. They got a bunch of top quality players up front. They make they just got top quality players at every level, and they got real good schematics. In the secondary, man, the cornerback tandem of Sauce and DJ Reed, man, is really impressive. Sauce obviously gets a lot of recognition, and rightfully so. I'm just one that believes that DJ Reed doesn't get enough. That's a guy that plays top quality ball, is highly competitive. Displays really good instincts and vision. He's an appropriate, calculated risk taker. He doesn't shrink in the face of competition. I just got a lot of respect for their cornerback tandem, the style of play that they deploy, and the manner in which they utilize their talent area. We got a big week ahead of us, man. It's primetime ball here in Pittsburgh. We respect that. It's important to me that we respect that through our actions in prep, the type of urgency, the type of detail, the amount of communication. We need to have good days leading up to this if we want to have the type of fun that we desire to have on Sunday night.
So that was a lot there to throw out there, but we're going long enough. I don't want to keep cutting him in off and on. But the Jets are 2-4, but he's talking them up as a team that he respects, and it doesn't seem like he's taking them lightly. They've lost 3 straight games. First to the Broncos 10-9, then to the Vikings 23-17, and then to the Bills 23-20. So those are some decent teams with the Vikings and the Bills that they were one-score games with. Pretty bad loss to the Broncos there. But what are your thoughts on this Jets game? Any thoughts on what he had to say too? Go ahead and give them both out there.
You know, this is something it just seems like we're seeing every week. He's definitely a player's coach. He talks up everybody, you know, and he has to give props to every team that we play against. You know, I don't know if that's just who he is. That's just his personality. He just has to give the flowers out to whoever. But he is talking them up like they are like the 5-0 Chiefs right now. And like you said, they've lost, their third in a row. They just fired their coach. Of course, they just acquired Devontae Adams, this week during a trade, things like that. But I don't foresee this being it shouldn't be a difficult game for the Steelers. Like you said, they're 2-4 right now. Aaron Rodgers is 40. He's older. Sure, he's still a very talented quarterback, but he's not a young guy anymore. And they do have some decent weapons on that offense and defense, but I don't think that this should be a game the Steelers lose. You talked about it, the past couple of weeks. I mean, with that Raiders game and these next couple, they have to win some because the bye week's coming up and it's about to get tough and things like that. So, hopefully, we can get a win like it's supposed to be and things like that. Like, just what it needs to be. The Steelers just should win this game in prime time.
Yeah, for me here, I think this is a game the Steelers should win for sure. I have been watching the Jets because they've been on prime time a lot, and if not on prime time, they've been on games where the London game early in the morning, the one day. So I've had a lot of chances to see them this year. They're not very explosive to this point. They do have a good running back. They got good weapons on the offense. But I think the Steelers defense should be able to play up to what they got going on there. I'm not too overly concerned with them coming out and just blowing the Steelers away with their offense. Defensively, I think they are solid. It'll be interesting to see how the addition of Russell Wilson changes things. If it's not Russell Wilson, it'll be interesting to see how Justin Fields is able to work through a defense that's pretty solid, pretty good.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm expecting the Steelers win. I'm expecting it to be a little closer than last week. I was last week I was pretty confident with that game going into it. This week, not as confident, but I still think they win. I'm going to give them a final score myself of 23-16. How about you? What are you thinking score-wise?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a final score of 20-13 Steelers over the Jets. Again, just since how things have been going with this offense, last week was definitely a great game, and if they can keep things up like that, I think they can beat any team in the NFL. But that's not something we're going to get every week with this team. And like you said, I'm not too confident with them, but I do feel as though this is a game they should win. So like I said, I'm going to go with a final score of 20-13 Steelers over the Jets.
Yeah, so the Steelers are currently 2-point underdogs at home, which is something you don't see a lot from the Steelers.
Yeah.
And the over-under is only 38.5. But going past the predictions there, I did pull a couple more questions that Tomlin was asked that I thought were interesting. We can go through some of them real quick, I think.
Okay.
So that's enough for me. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Like, you feel like there are guys like Calvin Austin, other guys in you guys' receiving game that have been doing a good job getting open that you guys think you can capitalize more on with your passing offense?
At times we've gotten open, at times we haven't. That's just a function of football. And so, say what you will about that. I just think that's always a component of football. There's always, plays left out there for a variety of reasons.
You've been around Cam even longer than you've been around TJ. Is there anything about his game, even now, that still surprises you, that he's able to continue to play at such a high level?
No, I'm not surprised, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it. And it's not only his talents, and it's not only TJ's talents. Their talents are what they are. It's so secondary if you spend day-to-day life with those guys. Their commitment, their will, their leadership, the things that they do for themselves, the things that they do for others, the way they communicate. Their general approach to business is as unique as their talents. And that's why I don't think any of us are surprised when we see the superhuman things that they do quite routinely.
Like you're, I think, 28th in passing.
Stop right there for a little bit. Hit those two questions there. I thought Tomlin went off about TJ and on Sunday in his post game, and then here he's got a chance to talk about Cam and TJ. Yeah, I don't think enough can be said about how great Cam Hayward has been to start the season. I remember, I don't know if I did it on here or just to myself and my friends, talking a little bit of shit on Cam, but he's come out and played great. I think I was complaining about his contract and him complaining about his contract, but he's shown that he's been healthy and he's shown himself that he's still an elite guy in this league.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can't say enough about the guy. I mean, he's very talented. He's, definitely one of the captains of this team. And, he's come out this season playing like he can still play. And I think there was maybe an Instagram or Twitter post he had made about, some of the fans saying he couldn't play anymore and things like that. And he said, you guys just wait till next season, see what I got for you. And
he showed everyone here.
Showing everyone that he still has it. And of course, TJ is just phenomenal. It's just what it is, glad to have him. I think he's the best defensive player in the game right now. And he's just, it's great to have him on the team. Going back to the other question about the wide receivers being open and things like that. He said that, they're getting open and they're not getting open. I just don't think the passing game has not been great, for these first 6 games. It has not been great. And I don't think a lot of these guys are really even getting open like that. I mean, there have been some nice plays that we've seen with some catches maybe after or yards after the catch, things like that, and some decent throws that Justin Fields has made. But I don't think it's been enough to really say that guys are getting open. I mean, we're not seeing enough. I mean, the passing game, it has not really kicked off, in this first third of the season. I mean, it just really hasn't. So, that's something that really needs to improve as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think this next question is actually about the passing game too. So I'm going to play that and then I'll give some of my points on that.
Yards. Obviously, you're 4-2. Do you feel like that can continue, or is there going to be a time where you need more from your passing offense, regardless of who plays the quarterback?
I'm not worried about a time, and statistics such as that. Stats are often for losers. It's comfort food when you take an L. I just try to focus my energies on positioning this group to win and doing what's appropriate to try to put the best collective together this week and win this game.
You brought up preparing for
It's his talent.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on that there? I thought it was a great quote, but I don't know how much value I really put into it, how much stock I put into it, because um, you can game to game, yes, stats don't matter, but over the length of a season, stats, the more yardage you're going to get, the more points you're going to score. Just the way things work. There's a correlation between yardage and points. As long as you're not turning the ball over, which Steelers have not been doing. So there's a give and a take there. But what are your thoughts on what he was saying there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely another great Tomlinism quote right there for sure, and but yeah, I agree. If you're not moving the ball down the field, you're not scoring the ball, and the offense really hasn't been what we wanted. Sure, this last game they had a great running game, but again, this isn't going to be every week, especially with this team. This is, we don't see this every week with them. And they definitely need to improve in this area because if you're not going to be able to get, anything going on the ground, you got to get something in the air. And if you're not getting down the field, then you're just punting the ball and you're just kicking field goals. And that's not going to do it. That's not going to win games for you. Sure, it's done what it's needed to do for this first 6 games of the season, but this second half of this season is going to get so rough that you're not going to be able to win games like this. So I disagree with just all of that. I mean, you have to do something to change that, as the season progresses.
So I'll get some more questions in here.
Devontae twice in 2 weeks. Did you guys have an interest in him, and do you have an interest in both?
Doesn't matter. Experience has taught me to talk about my people and not talk about hypotheticals and potentials because it is a fruitless endeavor.
You said you've been really good at times, but not to be confused with great. What areas of growth are you sort of looking for these next couple of weeks?
All areas, in all phases of the game. We fall short of perfection. I think everyone does, but it doesn't mean that we don't seek it.
Those were 2 great Tomlinisms, I think, right there. The first one with Davante Adams. I think he would have loved to have someone like Davante Adams come in to help the receiving core.
Yeah.
But, it's not happening yet. Maybe they get someone else. Maybe they get Cortland Sutton, someone like that. But who knows? And then that second one there, just what he's going to say. He's going to say, you're going to get that from Tomlin. Pretty much every press conference you ask him the right question, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's Tomlin being Tomlin. I mean, you're going to get, these are the answers you're going to get from him. Anytime a question similar to that's asked to him, and he's always going to throw in his little Tomlinism thing in there just to make it, fun and funny. That's just who he is. That's his personality. So, we're going to get this every week.
Mike, ahead of the Cowboys game, there was a lot of talk about the history between 2 teams. This week, you guys are honoring the '74 Super Bowl team. Just what does everything that they did do for you guys? How do you even kind of put that into words?
We live by a few creeds here. One of them is the standard is the standard. And, when I started saying that a number of years ago, I walk past those Lombardis every day when I come to work, and it's a source of inspiration and energy for me. And I want it to be that for our guys. I don't want them to run away from those expectations. I want them to run to them. We acquire guys who live that life, who have that spirit about them as it pertains to ball. And I just think it's an important component of being a Pittsburgher and being a Steeler. We honor those guys because they're the standard bearers. They pave the road that we walk on. And we're excited about honoring them and their accomplishments this weekend and maybe contributing in our own way to the history of this great organization.
Mike, is it?
All right.
Thanks, guys.
So, Lee, I'm going to end it there for you. What does the Steelers' history and tradition mean to you?
It's definitely a winning tradition. I mean, it goes back. I mean, winning those 4 Super Bowls like that back in the 70s. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, the Steelers were like the first team to be there. They were like the team to beat, back in the day. And, they fell off for a little bit and they came back in the late 2000s, things like that, and, you want to see, you want to see more of that. I mean, because that's the Steeler way, blue collar, running the ball, great defense, things like that, and just being able to wear your opponent down every game, and I want the Steelers to get back to that. That's who they are. And I'm hoping that, with, having that mentality to walk by and see all those, that Mike Tomlin can get his team back to being that way.